You sit in front of something new, a language app, a guitar, a computer screen with too many buttons, and a quiet voice appears. Maybe I'm too old for this? It's not loud. It's not dramatic, just heavy. Why does your brain resist learning now when it used to feel natural? And is it really age that changed, or something deeper? A visual, person sitting at a desk at night, soft lamplight, tooth problem, deep dev after 50, learning feels different. You don't just struggle with information, you struggle with identity. When you were younger, being bad at something was normal. You were becoming. Now you're someone, a professional, a parent, a person with experience. Failing at something new doesn't feel like growth. It feels like regression. You open a new app and feel slow. You forget names faster. You need to reread instructions. And your brain whispers, see, you've lost it. This isn't laziness. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's a psychological shift called identity stabilization. As we age, our self-concept becomes more solid, more defined, more protected. Behavioral psychology shows that once identity hardens, we avoid behaviors that threaten it. Learning requires being bad. Being bad threatens identity. So your brain chooses safety over expansion. And here's the quiet part, it feels like cognitive decline, but often it's ego protection. There's something else happening too. Your brain becomes more efficient, but less exploratory, which sounds like a contradiction. It isn't. And understanding that difference changes everything. A visual abstract brain animation, pathways lighting up, then narrowing 3D reframe. You are not broken. You are optimized. In your 20s, your brain prioritized exploration, novelty, risk. After 50, it prioritizes efficiency. It says, let's use what we already know. This is not decay. It's conservation. Neuroscience shows that while fluid intelligence, fast problem solving, may slow slightly with age, crystallized intelligence, knowledge and pattern recognition, increases. Your brain becomes a library. The issue, you're trying to use it like a blank notebook. Learning after 50 doesn't work the same way. It can't rely on raw speed. It must rely on structure and curiosity. That's where the pillar and playground method comes in. But before we get there, you need to understand the mechanism. Because once you see it, you stop fighting yourself. A visual empty room with sunlight slowly filling the space. 4 psychological mechanism. Let's simplify what's happening. Imagine your brain as a city. When you're young, construction is everywhere. New roads, new bridges, chaos. That's high neuroplasticity. After 50, construction slows, not because the workers left, but because the city already has roads. Neuroplasticity doesn't disappear with age. Research shows it remains active across the lifespan, but it becomes experience dependent. In other words, your brain builds new roads only when they connect to existing ones. This is called scaffolded learning. New information sticks when it attaches to prior knowledge. Here's the second mechanism. The brain avoids uncertainty because uncertainty triggers the amygdala, the threat detector. When you try something new and feel incompetent, your brain interprets it as social risk, status loss, rejection, embarrassment. It sends stress signals. Stress narrows attention, narrows curiosity, narrows learning. Learning requires safety. So here's the mental model after 50. Your brain needs 2 things: a pillar, structure, and familiarity. A playground, low pressure exploration. Without the pillar, it feels chaotic. Without the playground, it feels threatening. Most people try to jump straight into playground chaos. Their brain resists. But when you build the pillar first, learning becomes natural again. Let's break this down practically. A visual, slow-moving light patterns forming a pillar shape, then expanding outward. 5 practical framework, the pillar and playground method. Step 1, team, build 1 strong pillar. What to do, choose 1 core anchor in the skill. Not everything, just 1 foundational concept. If you're learning piano, learn basic chords only. If you're learning Spanish, focus on 100 common words. If you're learning coding, understand variables deeply. Why it works. Cognitive science shows that chunking reduces cognitive load. Your working memory shrinks slightly with age, so you reduce the load. By mastering 1 pillar, you create a scaffold. New information attaches more easily. Real-life example, instead of learning guitar, you learn G, C, and D chords for 2 weeks. That's it. Suddenly songs feel possible, and possibility reduces threat. A visual close-up of hands slowly practicing 3 guitar chords. Step 20, create a safe playground. What to do. Practice in private, remove performance, no posting, no comparison, no audience. Just play. Why it works. Social evaluation activates the amygdala. Amygdala activation increases cortisol. Cortisol reduces memory consolidation. When you feel watched, your brain protects status instead of learning. Real life example, you speak Spanish alone in your car. Wrong words, wrong grammar, but no judgment. Your brain relaxes, plasticity increases. A visual person driving, softly repeating foreign words alone. Step 3, use pattern linking. What to do? Ask, what does this remind me of? Connect new information to your past. If you're learning photography, relate it to storytelling. If you're learning investing, relate it to gardening. If you're learning tech, relate it to tools you've used before. Why it works. The hippocampus encodes new memories by associating them with old ones. Association strengthens synaptic pathways. Your brain prefers familiarity. Real life example, learning a new app feels overwhelming. Then you realize, this menu works like a filing cabinet. Suddenly it's not new. It's an old concept in a new costume. A visual abstract animation of two pathways connecting like bridges. Step 4E. Practice slow repetition. What to do? Repeat small sessions daily. 15-20 minutes, not marathons. Spaced repetition strengthens long-term potentiation. The biological basis of memory. Older brains benefit more from spacing than cramming. Cramming creates stress. Spacing creates stability. Real life example, instead of a 3-hour weekend crash course, you do 20 minutes every morning. Within months, it feels automatic, not because you forced it, but because you allowed consolidation. A visual notebook with one sentence written repeatedly over days. Step 5, redefine success. What to do? Measure consistency, not speed. Track days practiced, not level achieved. Why it works. Dopamine responds to progress signals. But after 50, intrinsic motivation becomes stronger than external reward. Tracking consistency builds internal reward loops. You shift from outcome-driven learning to identity-driven learning. Real life example, you don't say, I must be fluent in a year. You say, I am someone who practices daily. Identity expands safely, and the brain relaxes. Visual calendar with quiet check marks appearing one by one. 6, integration. Here's the simple model to remember. Pillar, playground. The pillar gives your brain structure. The playground gives it safety. Structure reduces cognitive overload. Safety reduces threat response. When both exist, plasticity wakes up again. You don't learn like a teenager. You learn like an architect. You connect instead of scatter. You deepen instead of rush. And something subtle happens. Learning stops feeling like catching up. It starts feeling like expanding. Her visual waves moving slowly towards shore. 7, quiet, empowering, close. Maybe you were never too old. Maybe you were just trying to learn the way you used to. Your brain didn't close. It specialized. And specialization needs structure. So next time that quiet voice says, maybe I can't, pause. Build one pillar. Create one playground. And let curiosity return slowly. Not loud, not urgent, just steady. Because learning after 50 isn't about speed. It's about depth. And depth takes time. Person walking alone at sunset, calm horizon.